If you feel like you're always starting from square one with new team members, watch the rest of this video to discover how you can turn things around. Building the right MEDSPA team is important for overall success of your business. You can't expect to deliver high-quality results with patient care if you don't have the right number of staff or the right personalities to match your practice. Instead of struggling with high turnover and poor patient satisfaction, try my 5 secrets to building a loyal team. At the end of this video, I'll be offering you a free staff productivity tool, so stay tuned for that. For those of you who are new here, I'm Kelly Smith, CEO and founder of Projected Growth Consulting. With over 20 years in medical aesthetics marketing and having assisted over 5,000 practices, I'm an industry expert who has built 7-figure businesses for my clients. Let's get started with the first secret to building a loyal team, which is hire for personality and train for skill. Of course, they need the proper licenses to provide the services you're looking for. However, more importantly, do they have the right personality to fit your company culture and to connect with your clients? You cannot train someone to have a different personality. So if you're hiring for a position like a consultation or an esthetician or an injector, they've got to have an extroverted, friendly personality. Same thing as front desk versus hiring someone that's a scrub tech or potentially helping in the surgical suite. They are quieter, less extroverted, more introverted, and more interested in being part of the team. So consider personality profiles and make sure they match the position that you're hiring them for. Which brings us to tip number 2. Company culture is critical. If you hire someone and you notice that they do not fit in with the group, or you would not enjoy coffee or a dinner or a lunch with this potential staff member, pay attention to that during the interview process, because you are creating a team and a family that works together. And we've all heard the phrase, birds of a feather flock together. You are trying to create a company culture, and you want to attract clients that like that company culture, and you don't have to appeal to everyone. So show your personality, but keep your personality consistent so that the experience for the client feels the way they would expect it to from staff member to staff member. Which brings us to hiring in terms of capacity, setting clear goals, and also how you can afford to pay your staff. If by chance you're just getting started and you only need an injector 1 day a week, it does not do you any favors to give them a full-time, full benefits position, because you can't afford to continue that way. So before you create a posting for a job description, look at what you really can afford to have or what you have enough clients to support. How many days a week do you need this position available? How many appointments do you have available? Or what marketing budget do you have in order to create the number of appointments that you need to justify the compensation to have that position in place? These are critical areas and mistakes that I see all the time. I'll have a startup client begin by hiring a receptionist, an injector, an esthetician, and a, inventory management specialist, all full-time, even though they don't have enough leads coming through the door to support that. That will eat through your operating capital so quickly that you will find yourself in a position that you cannot go on that way. And we all know that turnover is a secret profit killer that will really get into your net profit, and not only that, but your employee morale. So as you look at who do I need to hire, how many hours do I really need them to work, and what sort of available appointments do I have for them, that will take you to the next step of creating your hiring process and going through that process. One of the things that I teach over and over is make it hard to get hired at your appointment. Move fast. Make people go through the steps to where they feel like they are vying for this position. It needs to feel like they are working and competing to work for you. So the way you do this is the hiring process first would require submit a resume, maybe submit a video about why you want to work here or your background. Next, you go to a quick 15-minute phone call. Do they show up on time? You ask them a certain number of questions. If you like how they are that way, then the next day, schedule a Zoom call. Do they show up on time? How do they look? How do they sound? Again, there's set questions that you want to ask when you go through that process, which leads us to the next vital step, a working interview. Have that person come in and work for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, up to 4 hours, pay them minimum wage to come in and actually be in the room and shadow and work with either the provider or the front desk, whatever the position is. Just let them come in and be part of the team, because you're going to assess then, are they part of our company culture? How do we like working with them? Do they like our staff? Do they like the facility? Do they like the company culture? Because you've got a need to fill a position. Don't do it too quickly. That is a mistake. I know that we don't advertise till we need someone. It's more important to advertise and let people know that as soon as I have an opening, you're our #1 pick. So let us get back to you as soon as we can bring you on board. Advertise for positions before you need to fill them, but take them through this process. I want to see that they can show up to an interview of a phone call, and then a Zoom call, and then in person for a working interview, and then maybe a final interview with the actual owner and manager before we make that decision. Can they actually show up on time 4 times? Can they look professional? Are they saying the same things? Do they fit the company culture? Have you had a chance to look at their references? These are important steps because you want to hire slowly and fire quickly. Which brings us to, how do you grow your existing employees and set your new employees up for success? That's all about your process. What are your coaching and your standard operating procedures in terms of hiring? Once you hire, do you do a training buddy where they're having meetings 2 or 3 times a week with someone in their position, in a similar position, to train them? Are you doing a 30, a 60, and a 90-day review, at which point they can become a full-time permanent employee and then get benefits and perhaps a raise? This 90-day trial period is critical, because if you want people to come in and be part of the solution instead of part of the problem, you need to set them up with the right mentality from the very beginning, which is, we are going to train you quickly. We want you to be responsive. We want you to be a person that creates solutions and is part of the team. They will quickly see that that's what's required of them, and they will either want to be part of that process and that team, or maybe it's not the right fit for them. Either way, it's better for you to know right away, because it costs you time and money for a bad hire or someone that you need to terminate. It will affect overall company morale and patients' satisfaction. If you let people treat patients who don't have a good attitude or are not the right fit, you may lose clients that have cost you a lot of time and money to get. And we all know that retention and repeat business is the lifeblood of any med spa or aesthetic practice. So we get back to the same thing that I say in a lot of my videos. It's the standard operating procedure that is your best friend here. So what is your hiring process? Do you have clear position descriptions that explain your expectations to set not only your new staff member up for success, but your manager and you up for success? Are your compensation plans clearly identified in a win-win fashion with goals and guidelines of what sort of production you're looking for in order to consider your staff member effective? These things are all so important in the success of your business and in growing your company, but more importantly, growing your company culture and your retention. Turnover is a terrible impact on your profitability and client experience, not to mention your overall staff satisfaction. So we want to hire slowly and fire quickly, but not without the coaching necessary to coach people up or out. If you want more information about how to do this effectively, click the link below for a strategy session and learn about our MEDSPA Growth Accelerator program or executive coaching to look at your compensation programs, as well as the way that you are bringing people into your organization and structuring your leadership.